Hello there, Parth Sharma this side, bringing you best chess games going all around the world. Do take time to like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel. If you're already subscribed, then do press the bell icon for future notifications. And if you like my work, then do consider supporting me on Patreon and PayPal. You will find the links in the description because your support is my motivation, which keeps me going. Also, if you want to see a particular game, then I have put timestamps of the respective games in the description box. So if you want to watch a particular game, so you can click on the timestamp and you will jump straight to that game. So the first game that I would be looking at from Chessable Masters Day 3, the games from Group A, is the game between Magnus Carlsen and Hikaru Nakamura. This was a very interesting game because it was quite complicated, and these two battled it out in semi-finals in the Lindros Abbey Rapid Challenge, if you remember, where Carlsen had the upper hand and somewhat how he collapsed and wasn't able to win, and Nakamura bounced back very strongly. So this was this, and in the first game, and they battled it out. Carlsen had a good pass pawn on the a5, but he wasn't able to convert it, and eventually under the time scramble he blundered that a pawn and the game ended in a draw. So this was a critical game for Carlsen to win and for Nakamura as well to win, because Carlsen and Nakamura battles are like Kasparov Anand battles from the past, where Nakamura used to beat everyone but somehow wasn't able to beat Carlsen, as was the case when Anand used to beat everybody, and he didn't have the edge over Kasparov. So anyway, without further ado, let's jump onto the game. Carlsen is white, Nakamura is black. D4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight f3, empty Nimzo Indian, the queen's gambit declined, knight c3, inviting the Ragozin, but Carlsen and Nakamura are facing this variation with bishop f4 and castles, and there were games that in which Carlsen have struggled in this variation, so Nakamura is still implementing this, and this variation is extensively played by Hikaru Nakamura against everybody, not just against Carlsen, and with some mixed success. And a3, and when you see a3, it reminds you of Tigran Petrosyan to stop bishop b4, but here a3, Carlsen has some plans up his sleeve. He would have prepared this because he was expecting Nakamura to play this, and so he did. So knight b d7, Nakamura is continuing with his own plan. He's not fussed about everything, but now comes knight b5, and this is an interesting move because now two pieces are attacking the pawn on c7, and if you play c6, then knight c7 anyway, or maybe bishop c7, and if queen moves, then knight d6 would be nasty. So knight e8, it defends the pawn so that no c6, no mucking around the c7 pawn. Now e3, so he's trying to develop his king's bishop, so d takes, and now bishop develops with a capture, and c5. So now Nakamura is striking in the center of the board, basically wants to free this knight so that he would be able to play bishop d7 or something, but Nakamura has some other plans. After d takes, he plays a6, attacking that knight, and that knight jumps to d4, and if you think that if you can play, let's say, b5 in this position, well, this doesn't work because after knight c6 the queen is trapped, all these squares are covered. So after knight b to d4, bishop takes c5, and now Carlsen castles, and again if you play b5, then there is this nasty tactic of playing bishop takes e6, and obviously pawn takes, then knight takes, comes with a fork, and if you take the knight on d4, then knight takes d4 reinstates this threat of pin, oh sorry, this states of fork, beg your pardon. So after castles, when Nakamura plays queen to e7 to stop this, stop bishop takes, so if he captures then knight cannot capture this. And now rook c1, so x-raying on this bishop, and in this position it was suggested that e5 would have been a better move, but there comes this bishop g5, and if you try another nasty move, let's say bringing a knight here, let's say wrong knight I should mention, if you try to play knight d to f6, then this would be fine in this position because knight f5 is not possible. However, if you try to play knight e to f6, well, now comes knight f5, this knight blocks the bishop, and if queen d8 then queen c2 puts a lot of pressure, and opens also there might be chances of this, and if knight takes then knight takes e5 might also appear, bishop takes f7 might be on the cards, there is already x-raying here, so if this happens the knight would have to move and this x-ray would be devastating. So maybe this position would not be better for black. So but after bishop g5, knight d to f6, as I already said, this knight f5 is not possible, and this could have been playable. Maybe this knight would retreat back to b3, and position would be fine for black in that case. But after rook c1, Nakamura plays bishop to d6, and Carlsen now tucks his king's bishop to a2, and now knight d to f6, so still trying to relieve this bishop somehow, although it's biting on this pawn on e6, which is not good at all. And now Carlsen finds a tricky move. He has an idea up his sleeve. Knight to e5, and now he's looking for something here, and the best move in this position was to play bishop d7, and trying to bring this rook here, trying to play even knight c7 for that matter, and try to connect the rooks might have been a better option in this position. But however, in this position Nakamura plays knight d7, again moving this knight back and forth, very nasty, missing this trick, knight d to c6, and if pawn takes then this already reinstates the threat, which we will see. So Nakamura plays queen h4, beg your pardon for the pause. Let's see what happens if he plays queen f6 in this position. Well, then knight harasses the queen, and after queen g6 you remove the defender, and knight e7 would come with a fork. Bad luck. So understandably after knight d to c6 he plays queen h4, but this queen still gets harassed. Queen g5. And by the way, I should say that the same would happen if instead of queen h4, if pawn takes would have had happened with knight here. Then h4 again hitting the queen. Queen goes to f6. But let's see what happens. Let's see what happens if he plays queen to h6 in this position. Well, then comes knight g4, and there are two ways to play. Let's see what happens if queen g6. Well, then again you remove the defender, and you play this, and also looking at this rook, the rook is somewhat shut there on f8, no way of coming. And after knight g4, if you play queen h5, well then again you take the bishop, and after pawn takes knight, then bishop takes f8, and you can see after king takes, rook takes e6, the whole exchange up in this position. So that's why after h4, Naka plays queen f6, but then knight g4 again attacking the queen. So again the same would happen if queen g6, you pick the bishop, so he takes the pawn on b2, For first, he captures the bishop, attacks the rook, so he takes the knight, and before taking the rook, he makes sure that this bishop is defended, so he plays rook to c2. Nakamura plays queen b5, and now capturing the bishop, knight takes, and probably he should have played queen d4 in this position. Magnus, I don't think why didn't he play this, but he plays h5 in this position. He can simply take the pawn, but then queen d8 would be very nasty with the threats of rook takes pawn also. But Nakamura somewhat, I would say, ignores the pawn and he plays h6. And now Carlsen should have played, I think, queen d8, but queen f3 is strong enough anyway. And Nakamura takes the pawn on h5. Queen takes, threatening the rook in the corner, and also the knight on e8. So he plays knight to c7, defending the rook. Well, in fact, he can take this, but then this knight would be hanging, so he makes sure that everything is defended, playing queen to f3. Knight comes to d5, defending the rook. e4 to kick that knight off, and after e5, bishop and queen are barging on this knight. Knight takes h6 was the final move of the game, and here Nakamura resigned. Obviously the queen is attacked straight away, and if queen takes, then you can play bishop takes, not pawn takes, and if rook a7, then rook takes c8 wins. Rook, let me show you, queen takes h6, bishop takes d5, rook a7 defending the f7 square, then you pick the bishop on c8, and that will be that. So it came down to this. After knight takes h6 check, Nakamura resigned the game. So we come to game number 2, and this was the game between Dubov and Magnus. Yeah, and here Dubov is white, Carlsen is black, and this was also a very fascinating game. So I won't be fussing around any much. Let's jump into the game. d4, knight f6, knight f3, d5, c4, c6, so-called semi-Slav variation, knight f3, knight c3, e6, and he opts for this g3 move to Dubov, and he is somewhat known for his unconventionality, and he opts for this fianchetto variation, try to here, and normally people try to go for e3 and bishop d3, the so-called Miran variation, which is very well known, and it was quite a useful attack for Vichy. He played a very famous game against Rodian, that was brilliant, and even Kasparov used it in one of his games, so it was favorite for everyone. But he likes, as I said, he likes unconventionality, and he plays g3 here. Let's try to make things complicated, but anyway, Carlsen plays knight bd7. He's not going to be fussed around with these things. Bishop g2, bishop e7, both sides developing to castle, and both sides castle, and then b3, this fianchettoing both these bishops. Obviously Dubov wants to play bishop b2 and try to clear the tension that would be in the center, and try to bring this rook to c1. Maybe this is the best idea that Dubov has in his mind, and it would be very nice that if he tries to execute this plan. But anyway, b6, so he's also trying to fianchetto his bishop, the Magnus, as I said. And well, in fact, in this position he played rook e1 Dubov. Perhaps he should have played bishop b2 in this position, as I already said, with the ideas of playing rook c1 and taking this file, maybe exchanging here first and then bishop b2, rook c1. Maybe highly unclear, but still would have been better. But he plays rook e1, and now bishop a6, targeting this pawn and also indirectly targeting this pawn on e2. So knight comes to d2, rook comes to c8, there we go, bishop develops, and then rook comes here. Magnus is following conventional ways up to now. Bishop to b2, c5, d takes c, knight takes c, And now b4, attacking the knight. And Magnus can play knight d7 in this position. Maybe still not bad, but he plays knight c to e4. And in fact, this is very good move indeed in this position. And we can see what he wants to do in this position. After knight c takes e4, pawn takes e4. This knight is somewhat pinned to this queen, and obviously if he wants to exchange the queens, that would be okay, but moving this knight would mean that the pawn would be hanging. So he plays b5 first, Dubov, make sure that this pawn is only attacked and defended once simultaneously. Bishop comes to b7, putting more defenders to this pawn, and you don't want to play this because then bishop takes f6 would open this diagonal to this rook, and that would lose a tempo. So e3, so fixing that pawn on e4, bishop goes to e4, and now things starts to make a bit shaky. This double pin now is somewhat really nasty here with this knight, really looking for desperation. Rook comes to e2 to getting out of this pin and defending this knight. Queen comes to d3, now properly shutting down any chances that a white would have. So this is somewhat total domination in the position. Rook to b1, and now bishop to c3, offering the trade of bishops, and maybe that would have been a better option in this position, and just try to simplify everything, and that would have put this knight out of this nasty pin which it itself finds in. In fact, here Dubov plays bishop a3. What a terrible blunder this turned out to be, because after rook f to d8, the bishop was attacking the rook. Now look at this. This looks absolutely nasty. Lot of pressure on this knight. Bishop is attacking, queen is attacking, the rook is x-raying on this knight. Three pieces are attacking and only two are defending, and there aren't good ways to defend this position now. And also the queen has to keep defending this rook as well on e2. So Dubov tries to simplify, I would say tactically, pinning this bishop, but Carlsen is having nothing of it. He plays another superb move. Queen takes c4. Obviously if knight takes, then rook takes with check and you lose the piece, because rook takes will still keep defending this bishop. So queen e1, and again he's somewhat in a peculiar situation. This queen is somewhat, I would say, overloaded. It has to keep an eye on this knight, again placing itself into this pin, and if it would try to clear the air, he might just take it with the rook, but then queen takes also doesn't help. And also this queen has to keep protecting this rook on e2 from this queen, and this is somewhat very nasty. Queen d5. So okay, this rook is now not attacked any longer, but still this rook is somewhat shut here on e2 and has no squares. So this is somewhat a cramped job that he's doing here. Bishop to b4, which turns out to be another fatal mistake, and I will give you some time. Take a pause and think what Magnus Carlsen played here. Well, if you found it out, brilliant. And if you just want to enjoy the show, queen takes b3, double exclaim, brilliant move. Just putting lot of pressure, and after a takes b3, bishop takes b4, white is somewhat in a sutswang where he cannot move this knight because it's pinned. The rook has no moves. He can only move his bishop, and which he did, playing bishop f1. If he moves his queen away, then bishop takes d2, and already white has, I would say black has, rook and bishop against queen, and if he recovers another minor piece, then he would be winning actually. So he plays bishop f1, which was, I think, the only good move that was left with him. But after a5, if you take this, then bishop a6 again wins the rook and wins the knight as well after that. So plays queen d1, but after h6, a calm move by Magnus. Dubov resigns the game. Obviously, he is somewhat in a tsutswang, and if, let's say, if you play king g2 or h4 or h3, whatever you want, then rooks simply double on the d5, and a lot of pressure on this knight will gobble up the piece, and black would simply run with the game because the queen would be so much overloaded. It already is, and the rook cannot move because he has to protect the knight. The queen cannot move because again so much pressure on this knight, so it's gone. And also, by the way, I should say this rook controlling the c5 is making sure that queen c1 or queen c2 won't be possible, so that's hopeless, it's lost, and understandably Dubov resigned the game. So we come to another game, and this was the game between Hikaru and Daniel Dubov. There we go. And Hikaru was white, Dubov was black, and Dubov wasn't having a good time up to now. He lost. He won a game against Artemiev, but he lost to Magnus, as we saw. And so there we go. Without wasting any time, Nakamura versus Dubov. Nakamura is white, Dubov is black. Nakamura opens with 1 e4, Sicilian, Sveshnikov, and this g6, the accelerated dragon variation, d4, cd4, knight d4, and this is much more respectable variation, the so-called, I would say, somewhat modern accelerated dragon with a little bit of Taimanov touch in this. But since g6 is played instead of e6, so there is no Taimanov variation here. Anyway, bishop g7, bishop e3, protecting the knight here. And in a lot of blitz games, we see queen b6 played, but this is a poison pawn. White can simply give this pawn and have a raging initiative on the black. We have already seen this. Anyway, knight f6, bishop to c4, castles, bishop e3, and here probably he should have played d6 to develop this bishop to e6 or to g4 for that matter, or maybe to d7, and to play rook c8 to give this rook a semi-open file. Maybe might have been a better option, but he plays rook e8. Maybe he's trying to play e5 or d5 and secure the center in that way. But Hikaru Nakamura makes sure that f file opens, so he plays f4, now d6, and queen to f3. He's preparing to play f5 and break open the king side for black. Bishop to d7. Nakamura castles, putting more pressure on the f file, and that's very important. Knight to g4, attacking this this queen's bishop. But now knight takes c6, b takes c6, and now bishop tucks back to d2, not only defending this knight from this bishop, but also defending itself from this capture. And d5, so now Dubov strikes into the center, f5. Hikaru Nakamura continues his attack on the king side, and knight to e5. Maybe he should have taken this pawn, and yeah, still that things would have been unclear, but still that was my assessment. Maybe could have been much better, or king h8 after this capture might have been a better option. Anyway, queen to f2, queen tucks back, e6, and e6 I felt was indeed a mistake in this position, and now he definitely should have taken this, but with e6 played, this creates this hole on f6, which Nakamura exploits by playing f6. Good move, and this creates a lot of tension now, because how to take this bishop out? He tries all these maneuvers, and queen f3, and now the best move should have been to take with the knight, but Dubov thought that why take it with the knight if he can do the same by taking it with the queen. But now comes this queen takes g4 check, and you're losing a piece. And you're a piece down. He thought that after queen d4 check he will recover this bishop. The bishop has to come back. But now rook f2 defends the bishop, and now he's officially a piece down. He tries another tactical ideas like f5. Okay, the pawn cannot take because it's pinned. So queen has to move. Queen moves to f3, and now f takes e4. So he has only 2 pawns here for the piece, and this is not enough. Queen f7 check. Now queen invades and picks up another piece. So he has two pawns for only 2 pieces, and this is actually very slow. Maybe the best move in the position is to play e3, but still I believe that this is way too slow, and he didn't play that. He plays rook a to d8, attacks the queen, but now all those pawns he was up, and Nakamura just gobbles up those pawns, and now again he has the chance to play e3. Maybe he was worried about moves like any invasion on the on the 7th rank, and the discover check won't matter because of king h1. So he plays rook to f8, again putting pressure on this rook. And this is a interesting movement. What happens if you play rook to f1? Well, then rooks would exchange, and then black can play e3, because the rook won't be able to move that easily, and now this pawn can be a deadly attack on e3. Maybe a better option here. So after rook f8, Nakamura doesn't play rook to f1. He plays bishop to e1 to stop that forking idea. Brilliant stuff. So queen to e3, and now queen takes e6, bishop to d4. This was the plan, to putting a lot of pressure on the rook. But first you play knight takes, because if rook takes, then you pick the queen. And you place queen e2. Obviously the rook cannot take because of the pin. There comes this finishing touch. I will give you some time. Take a pause and think. Well, if you found it out, brilliant. And if you want to see how Nakamura finished it off, queen to e5 check, a decoy deflection move, brilliant move. And after which Dubov resigned the game. He was down a lot of material here. Bishop takes, then rook takes queen, otherwise this bishop is hanging, and yeah, that would be end of that. The knight is defended by the bishop, and you would be 2 pieces up in this position. So that was the culmination of day 3 of Chessable Masters. And after day 3 in Group A, Carlsen and Artemiev are leading with 6 points each. Grishchuk, Nakamura and Dubov are at 2nd place, joint 2nd place, but I would say they are ranked in the order because of some particular tie breaks. And Grishchuk, Nakamura and Dubov are 5 points, whereas Hari Krishna had a very tough time today again. He lost to Artemiev, he lost to Grishchuk. Terrible tournament for him. He is last at 3 and maybe out of the tournament. So I hope you liked the video. I hope you liked my analysis. Thanks for watching. I would keep bringing you more chess videos. Till then, stay safe. Cheers. Bye.